Frank, good morning.
Goedemorgen, Alon. Good morning. How are you
Goedemorgen.
doing?
Good morning. I'm very well. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me.
A
It's 10
pleasure.
o'clock in Amsterdam. Where are you in the world, Frank?
I'm somewhere in the green in the Netherlands. It's called Utrechtse Heuvelrug. I think it's
Yes.
a tongue breaker for anyone who's not native Dutch. And it's in the middle of the forest of one of our lovely national parks.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. I'm
Pleasure,
very
really.
honored. I am proud to call you my friend already for,
Long
I
time.
lost track. We're getting old. Ever
Yeah.
since we started with Monochrome, um, I invited you to be a guest on the Aces Live, our second season, because I love you. I love your passion for watches. You radiate that in an amazing blog, which is called Monochrome Watches. For those that don't know it, which I don't think they exist, but if you don't know it, check out monochrome-watches.com. Um, it's actually one of the leading blogs or today online magazines about watches in the world. And I think that your forte and your biggest passion are independent watch brands and watchmakers, which I want to discuss with you a little bit later. But maybe you want to do a quick intro about yourself as well.
Um, well, I started with watches some 20 years ago, and for me it was a deep dive into watches when I started dreaming about somehow bringing together people with a passion for watches, because to me there was not enough people that I could discuss my passion with.
Yes.
So starting Monochrome was one of the ways to do that, and I was lucky and fortunate enough to be able to do that in a successful way that resonated well with enough readers.
Yeah.
And nowadays, already for 8 years, I can call it my full-time job, running Monochrome together with a crew of 5 people, and we're having lots of fun discussing watches all day long. But hopefully also creating interesting content for the readers.
Amazing. And what year did you start Monochrome, Frank?
It started in 2015, 2016 with some very short, lame first mini
2006, you
articles.
mean, as I see here.
Sorry?
2006.
Yeah, 2006. Oh,
Time flies, how you
I
see.
mistakenly added a 10.
So this is your 15th anniversary already.
This is indeed my 15th anniversary. Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. So we were young and handsome when we became friends. I remember we met in Basel World the first time.
Exactly. And shortly after some of the events in your boutique in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
where I was a young kid with a camera wanting to take pictures of all the beautiful watches.
Yeah, amazing.
That's a long time ago. Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, time flies. So here's the amazing team.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable, very passionate, actually very well respected. So more
Thanks.
about that after our standard 7 DA's list questions.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do anything, we need to do a wrist check. So what are you sporting this morning?
Well, what day is it today?
Tuesday.
It's
Yes.
my only Speedmaster, I have to say. This is a Speedmaster first Omega in space. The funny thing is that although the entire world loves Speedmasters, I love them too, but I'm not that crazy about the Speedmaster as most watch collectors are. And to me, the first in space with its more symmetrical case and its slightly cleaner dial, at least it has the looks of it, somehow feels better on my wrist. I put it on a totally non-standard bead of rice bracelet, and I think that looks kind of
It's
nice
lovely.
and vintagey.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
So this is my Speedmaster.
Amazing. So
And,
although I
and
also
the story when I bought it, it was probably even more funny. I bought it from you, you know that, many years ago. and it was the first Speedy Tuesday event that Robert Jan organized, and I didn't want to show up without the Speedmaster. And
So that's
thanks for making that happen.
thank you for the trust to be able to supply it. And it's an interesting topic you raised, because a lot of people on the outside think that you bloggers, you watch journalists are competitors. But the funny thing is, you guys are actually friends.
Yeah, of course.
And that I need to advance my questions already, because two questions. Why are there so many leading Dutch watch journalists? Actually, the Dutch are rather strong in opinionating their passion about watchmaking. And because obviously, besides Monochrome, you just mentioned Fratello watches, very,
Mhm.
very, very influential globally. Um, People think you guys don't get along, but actually, I know that Robert Jan and you, Frank, are very good friends, always have been. The old school publicists like Watching 0024, all these founders get along very well as well. So the old
Mhm.
media. Um, you took me along when you had a spontaneous meetup with Wyco of Revolution in Amsterdam. So we all meet up. So it's really a watch a family. Would you
I mean,
concur?
we share a passion,
Yeah.
and no one really needs a mechanical wristwatch. Let's put that in front, and
Yeah.
so we share a passion, and this is a weird passion where we are crazy about something that we do not necessarily need, and that's often quite expensive.
Mhm.
But our passion is that strong that we want to collect a few of those timepieces, and to discuss that with our fellow nutcases. And I think that's a very healthy thing to it's a bit like a discussion group for a mental disease, maybe. But it's something that ties us together. And I think if thinking back of my how I got to know Robert Jan. It was also in the early days of when I started Monochrome, and he had just started Fratello watches. We were visiting Gerard Nijnbrings, who had a watch store in The Hague.
Mhm.
Bernard Werk from a magazine was living just 2 blocks away from my house. Robert Jan was close to The Hague. I lived in The Hague. It was all, in proximity of one another, and we met quite often for drinks, and
We in Amsterdam called it Haagse bluff.
yeah, there was a lot of that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So I racked my brain. What should I wear this morning? Because on Tuesdays I also wear a Speedy. But since I think what really connects us two is independent watchmaking,
Mm-hmm.
I had no other choice than to wear the watch on the background. That's the session today. So that's our 6th collab with Nomos.
Nice.
So I had to wear that, obviously. But later on, I want to discuss 3 of the other independent watches I bought this year.
Only
But we'll
3.
discuss that later. So I didn't know what to pick. So I put them on my desk.
Okay.
And I'm going to run them by you if we have time, because we actually have a lot of questions of viewers that want to ask you. So that's my wrist chip. Now, let's just dive in. First question for you from our series of 7. That's the second one. First one. What watch or jewel is your favorite and why?
I don't have one favorite, if I am allowed to say that. No, it's to me. Let me put it this way. I think my Sarpaneva Corona K1, which is a bit of a strange name in this time frame. But when I bought it some 15 years ago, it was my first watch from an independent watchmaker. It costed as much as a Rolex Daytona at the time. To me, that was like very, very expensive, a big purchase. But I loved the looks of it. I loved the handwork and the finishing on it. So that was my first major independent that I bought, and that's probably my most important wristwatch.
So I'm in the time being looking for it, because that's why I actually salute you. think about it, 15 years ago. Today, now 15 years later, independent watchmakers are the bomb. We just had an amazing auction weekend.
Yeah.
We had the GPHG award ceremonies for the 2021. I think you're an Academy member as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're both Academy members. So we're for 2 years now also in the process of voting in watches and actually voting for them. But that Salpaneva is the first. You actually introduced me to that brand, and you kept that tradition alive for 15 years by always inspiring me privately. Obviously, I read your blog on a daily basis, but you personally also message me and trigger me, and because of you, I recently became friends with David from Raqueta.
Ah, cool.
That was
Nice.
you. I credit you for that. And even
Sorry.
15 years later, you still do that. So going back to your favorite watch, what made you back then, being an early innovator and not even an early adapter, is indeed not go for the beaten path of a Daytona and choose for a watch that literally nobody heard of?
I completely fell in love with it, not just with the looks of the watch, but also with the explanation of what has been done to the watch. Well, let's put it up front. I did not have the money to buy something that was 100% handmade, like a Carifuti line or Philippe Dufour. So I had to, that one.
Yeah, so I'm on a different browser. So this one, right?
Yeah, that's the one indeed.
Yeah.
So I ran into Stepan Sarpaneva at an event with Tim and Bart Groeneveld, or Dutch pride of watchmakers.
Yeah.
And apparently they had been friends for a long time, and Stepan explained to me what he did with his watches. And actually he did lots of watchmaking techniques that are usually being applied to movement parts. He did those on the hands, on the dial, and on the case. So that was as close as I could get to owning something with proper watchmaking credentials, although it didn't have a fully hand built and hand finished movement.
Yeah.
But at that time, I fell completely in love with that watch, and I had been looking at all possible ways to acquire one. So it took me a year and a half to gather all the budgets, and then it finally happened.
Amazing. By the way, I've been scrolling here on the Our Story page on your website. So here's the proof that he was young and handsome taking pictures at events. Here is a proof of handsome RJ. This is the event you're talking about in Noordwijk, where, which is very interesting to mention, Ben Clymer of Hodinky was present as well. So I was also at this dinner with James Bragan. Here's our mutual friend Davide Serrato. So very interesting to see. All right. Lovely page, Frank. Thank you for answering. Second question. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Many things, I think. I think soldier, policeman, fireman have all been on the list. But actually, as of a certain time, I really did not know what I wanted to be. So as of probably 15, 16, I've been looking off for no clue what. So I was a bit lost. So then I started to play guitar. And then I wanted to become a rock star, at least a guitar player in a punk rock band, something like that. And by the time realism hit me, and I was studying, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. It actually took until I was involved in started to get involved with watches that I really knew what I wanted to do. And before that, I was never bored. I always had something to do, and I did most things with a passion and with energy, but not as much as this.
Nice. Very interesting. We also always speak about our kids
Hmm.
as young dads. How do you inspire your son? Um, being very
Uh,
you're very tech savvy and digital savvy. We
yeah.
both love very old school mechanical watches.
Hmm.
How do you educate him? How do you motivate him, inspire him, and
It's
also in
very
career path wise?
it's super easy, actually. He sees me playing with watches, taking pictures of watches, discussing watches all the time,
Hmm.
and he's very eager to learn.
Hmm.
So I explained to him what is what, and he wants to. He just told me this week for the first time. He wants to follow up in my business, so I'm not allowed to ever sell it.
Nice.
And I'm curious if he will continue that story, or if it will change. But he's also doing lots of Lego with him. So we
Yeah.
built the new Land Rover Defender, the big
Yeah.
one, the 911 RSR we just finished.
Yeah.
He's 7 years old now, and already since 3 years we're building the most incredible Lego cars together.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's good because there also he learns a lot about the mechanics.
Yeah.
And I think the mechanics is a part that definitely fascinates him,
Yeah.
like it fascinates me. So it's in that respect, it's quite fun.
Lovely. On topic of young enthusiasts,
Hmm.
how young does the readership go on Monochrome? And do you guys get a lot of questions? Why should I buy a mechanical watch?
No,
Should I buy a watch? What should I start with? Do you guys write a lot about that? Or
actually,
is it an
hardly.
older target group?
I have the feeling that we serve our content to a slightly more knowledgeable group of people.
Hmm.
So our readership is roughly between, say, 16 or 18 and 100.
Yeah.
Um, with I think the strongest group that is represented is between 25 and 45, roughly.
Hmm.
It's mainly men, and I think they're quite knowledgeable about watches
Yeah.
and really come to read up on what is new and to get proper explanations about all those new watches.
I understand. Okay. Thank you. Third question. Who is or was your role model or role models?
Ooh, no clue.
Who inspired you when you grew up or today? Privately, maybe in business? Because you
Good.
didn't start off as an entrepreneur. I
No,
actually have
no.
a lot of respect for you because you had a total different career path and you've been doing
Yes.
monochrome simultaneously for many years. So you had a double job,
Actually,
maybe entrepreneur.
my career path was very much in line with what my father wanted me to do.
Mhm.
Security, work for the government, find a nice and secure job.
Yeah.
And well, that's where I ended up as a policy advisor for the Minister of Transport in the Netherlands. Something that I enjoyed a lot, by the way. Also, one of those things that I did with passion and with energy that I really loved doing. Um, but maybe it was not entirely my dream. It was probably more my parents' dream for me to have a nice and secure job. But slowly I found out that the security was maybe not necessarily my prime focus. And although I loved the work at the ministry, I was one of the little gears in a big machinery, and I prefer to be more agile and fast moving,
Mhm.
like you have to do when you're an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So I know I had a lot of respect for instance, for Thomas Wanka from Uhren magazine,
Yeah.
German watch magazine. How he shaped that magazine. That was to me pretty pretty cool, and also very nice as an example of how you can blend a product of passion with almost a clinical analysis of what it is. So they were comparing watches, ranking watches in a very almost mathematical way, and I thought that was pretty interesting how they managed to do that.
Interesting. Thank you.
So it's not a simple answer here. Sorry,
No,
I don't
you
have
know,
one
listen,
major example.
you don't need to apologize, Frank. This is your story. This is your interview. There is no right or wrong, and that's the beauty of it. Is we created a format, and it's beautiful to see all the variation in that. So things are opening up.
Mm-hmm.
US opened up yesterday.
Yeah,
But
big
still,
news.
transportation and traveling is not that easy. If you could teleport tomorrow, where would you go?
Can I bring my family?
Of course, you can do whatever you want.
Then I would go to the US.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where in the US?
Road trip. That's
Nice.
what I've been promising my son, and my wife is also looking forward to that. And
Yeah.
I'd love to see some friends who are over in the US who I haven't seen for way too long. And I want to visit them and drive around for 4 or 5 weeks in maybe a big camper.
Lovely. And would you do coast to coast, or would you go down the West Coast?
Differently. One of my friends is in the Detroit area. Another one is in Michigan.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michigan, Detroit area. And the other one is in Tennessee. So I would drive in roughly that area. Maybe
So
go to
north
New York
to
briefly.
south. Yeah. North to south.
Yeah, that's more the route.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Nice. I see a lot of books behind you.
Mm-hmm.
What book are you currently reading?
Currently, I'm reading. What's the name? I forgot. I forgot the name of the book. Robert Langdon. He's the one that came out like 2 years ago. I finally started reading it. Yeah, good question.
Okay, maybe it'll pop into your head.
Yeah, it will come to me. I only read it when I'm in the airplane. For the rest, I'm too busy to read.
Yeah,
I should
you
find
need to write. You're writing. You don't have time to read. Okay. We've seen a lot of color in the watch industry. Finally, what do you think is going to be the color of 2022?
It's going to be salmon dials.
That's your biggest passion, salmon dials. I've been hearing you about salmon dials for I don't know how long.
And the watch 10 years.
Let's focus on the watch you just shown. Congratulations on that. That's the Monochrome X Habring 2
exactly
limited collab, right?
Yeah.
Sold out in a jiffy.
Well, well spotted. No, this is indeed our first collaboration watch we did together with Habring, and we came up with some designs thinking of 1940s, 1950s chronographs that are kind of favorite for both Brice, who's on my team, and myself. Although we love those watches, the usual diameter, 34 millimeter or something like that, is too small for our wrist. They're fragile. They're way too expensive if you want to buy them. So we teamed up with Habring, that's a small independent watch atelier in Austria, and Richard Habring is very well known among watch collectors as a former employee of IWC, being the inventor of this the IWC Doppel chronograph.
Which is a rattrapant movement, a split-second movement.
Exactly.
We basically created a pattern to build it on top of the Valjoux 7750.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is amazing. And he works today with his wife, right? Out of Austria.
And another watch that he invented, the Deep One from IWC.
Yeah, lovely.
So he has an inventive mind, and they now he works indeed together with his wife Maria in Austria with her own atelier. They're sourcing parts from local producers to create a sort of a 7750 movement that they have improved themselves. Thank you very much. That is indeed our collaboration watch. We came up with the design of the dial, and of course that it had to be a brushed case.
Yeah, lovely.
Sold out in a jiffy. Now working on a second one for next year.
With them.
With them too, yes.
Yeah. Okay, amazing.
We're doing probably 2 limited editions next year.
Amazing.
And maybe in December we're going to launch another one.
This December?
But not with Habring.
This December?
Yes.
Okay, guys, make sure to register to your newsletter, I guess, huh?
That would help.
Yes.
But again, probably very limited. This one was 33 pieces, and the one that we hope to launch in December, but it still depends on the availability of products, because I don't want a large gap between launching and deliveries.
Yeah.
So it's dependent on that, and if that works well, we can launch our next collaboration watch mid-December.
Can you give us a little scoop?
If you
Salmon dial?
No, unfortunately not. But that's also the weird thing about it. It was supposed to be launched during summer, but the manufacturer had some issues with little parts that had to be delivered in order to finish the watch. It's called Monochrome White. So no salmon. It's a sports watch, and with an integrated bracelet, and it looks incredibly nice, fly under the radar.
Chapek? Amazing. My buddy Rob Nuts did an excellent job with my friend Xavier. I was so happy he did well. I think this one's going to fly off the shelf as well. So all the Chapek lovers, stay tuned, because they're amazing pieces.
Very nice quality.
Antarctique, I assume you're doing.
Sorry?
The Antarctique.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. I love that watch. Amazing.
Give me 1 second. I see if I have it here somewhere.
In the time being, while Frank is gone, here you can see the rattrapant mechanism via a see-through caseback. So that's what made Habring famous. The reason that there is a Habring square is because he works with his wife. Let's go quickly back to Frank. Is that the proto?
That's the proto indeed.
Again. I blew up your screen. Amazing.
And it has a different sort of dial pattern than all the others had. This is a Grenet dial pattern, and to me that looks even more discreet, much more discreet than all the other Chapek models with their laminated dials.
Yeah.
I love it. It's
again. Quickly. Yes. Lovely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing. I'm happy for you guys. That's I'm quite sure going to be a home run.
Fingers crossed, as they say.
I'm breaking my own rules because comments are flying in. Bas van Dijk writes on YouTube, wow. So he's responding to the scoop. Thank you, Bas, for watching and commenting. He replied here, that watch is incredible in the flesh. I think he's referring at the Habring.
Exactly.
And
he
actually
must have seen it.
Yeah. And he actually he's asking about the next montre subscription, but you just shared.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for asking us. But I do want to ask something.
Okay.
Austrian watch,
yes.
Dutch designer, you. Why a French? And why a French title? And what does montre subscription mean for those that don't speak French, Frank? Our watch.
It is a subscription watch. The
Okay.
idea comes from Abraham Louis Breguet, and he didn't have the money to create lots of pocket watches at a nice, pleasant price point. So he asked people to make a down payment for a watch, and when he had enough people do the down payments, he started production and subsequently the deliveries of the watches.
Yeah.
I thought it was such a charming idea because Monochrome is probably one of the few bigger medias that is not owned by external parties. Most others have investors or some way to get money. We don't. Monochrome is still today fully privately owned without external money.
The key word is independent.
Exactly, it is.
Independent watchmaking, independent watch media.
Yeah. And I hope to keep it like this for a long time.
Compliments.
But that also means that we do not have the funds to fund that many quite valuable watches up front. So I thought, if we do it in the same way, sort of as Mr. Breguet has done it, and we use the word montre de souscription for our watches. I thought it would be a nice referral to someone who has been incredible, important to our watch collecting and to the hobby that I cherish to this day.
He's legendary on many fronts. And what's interesting, it's actually also an innovator on crowdfunding.
Yeah, exactly.
He was
the first Kickstarter.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you for sharing that and so openly, and a lovely tribute to Breguet, and actually a wonderful idea. And I salute you on being independent and the wish to stay independent. This is something that we share also at ACE. We're independent, family owned, and we're a small boutique trying to share our passion and our knowledge and do what we love. So kudos to you. Last question.
And to you.
You already said you visit Amsterdam, of course.
Yeah.
What is maybe not so much your favorite memory, but what are your favorite spots in Amsterdam? What do you love about Amsterdam?
Well, what we call the Grachtengordel, your area, it's your boutique. It's just around the PC Hoofdstraat. It's the museum quarter. It's the 7 small streets. That inner city of Amsterdam is always really beautiful, just to browse around and to go from one place to the next, to have a coffee at a little terrace somewhere at one of the canals, to go to a museum, to run into a nice watch boutique like Ace. And there's half a day or a day just browsing in the inner city of Amsterdam always puts a smile on my face. Well, maybe except when it rains cats and dogs, but for the rest, I'm enjoying it.
Nice, lovely. Thank you for sharing. So those were the 7 questions. We're past the half. I mixed it up a bit because I'm going left to right with the questions and questions from the viewers, but they're very enthusiastic. Frank, I would love to focus on your story. We did a bit of intro and we're going left and right, and I'm all over the place, but that's what I love about these sessions. Do you want to share maybe a bit about your journey about Monochrome?
Yeah, sure.
Or do you want me to pop some questions out and you make a story out of it, like an interview? You're the journalist here.
I can tell easy something about my story, or you guide it.
Please do, because our viewers love the story. How actually all the watch blogs today, which became online magazines, which became enterprises. You're a company now. I mean, you said it yourself. Maybe your son will take it over. So that's lovely that he's considering it, and you emphasize you want to stay independent. Yes. This is your legacy. You quit your secure job, you just told us. So please walk us through when you started, how you started, why you started, and why you want to be independent. and how do you fill your days? People think it's super easy to start a blog, but
Mhm.
you run a company, you run an enormous team. So
Yeah.
walk me through, please.
Okay. Um, it was some 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was planning in my first trip outside of Europe, going backpacking in Vietnam for 6 weeks. We also planned to do some diving, and I was about to, to do my first paddy dives in Vietnam. And I had a simple Esprit watch with a depth rating of 30 meters and a battery inside. I thought it looked good, but I didn't know anything about wristwatches. So I started looking for a watch that I could take off the beaten path and that could go down to more than 30 meters to accompany me on my dives. And I stumbled across an entire world of information. Not that it was very focused at that time. Online was the information was pretty scattered, but I found out about mechanical watches. And there was a difference between mechanical watches and watches with a battery inside. And there was something like psychokinetic, and that was sort of a hybrid, but there was also manually wound and automatically wound watches. And gosh, that did it for me. The fact that you could keep time with some pins, some gears, some levers, springs, etc., and the harmony of those things working together, indicating the time, almost perfect. That to me was pure magic.
Yeah.
So that pulled me in. I started reading and reading and reading about mechanical watches and the history of mechanical watches and why we are doing something like timekeeping. Actually, never really gave it much thought. You have clocks everywhere, and we're living by the clock. But why and how come? So an entirely amazing world opened to me, and that was captivating, surprising, mesmerizing, and I wanted to read more and more and more. But in my search for quality information, I noticed that the information was pretty scattered all over the web. So I thought, if I use an URL, maybe I can start a simple WordPress blog and then link to the quality information online. That was my first action.
Yeah.
And then slowly I started writing a few very short stories, a little bit longer. And at a certain point, I started dreaming of, well, if that guy with that print magazine can live off that, I think by now I have more readers than he has. So and slowly I started to have some ideas about doing this myself online. But at that time, the world of mechanical watches was not very welcoming to anything online. Well, you must know, you were once, I think, the first online retailer, certainly in Europe, but I don't know if it was globally. But that was spectacular, and to me, it was like finally someone going in the same direction. I love that. But it also, I can imagine how much struggle it has been, because to me it was a struggle first to be able to get a press release. People from brands were saying to me that I should be thankful to receive the press release. It was an honor for me to receive a press release and to be allowed to cover the brand. I was not allowed to take.
I want to jump in.
Yeah.
Because Frank is not exaggerating. Today, everything is online and it seems normal. And you're right. You wrote about us back in 2007. We were the first in the world to be granted online dealerships by the Swiss brands. I remember I've been visiting Basel and SIHH ever since I'm a kid. I've seen the evolution where you guys were shunned. They wouldn't even look at you. They wouldn't even talk at you guys.
No.
It's suddenly you guys came up. Now you guys are the rock stars. You said, what did you ask? What do you want to be? You said a rock star. You are a rock star in the watch industry today. but the struggle has been hard. No, it is. You guys now are celebs in the watch industry. And now you guys are leading on the forefront of media. But I remember they wouldn't even talk to you guys. They wouldn't even send you press releases.
No.
You guys were literally shunned. I remember that.
Yeah, they were far from nice with us. That's for sure, indeed. And they really didn't know what to handle. At that point, their website still started, don't buy online, it's, etc.
Yeah.
So, but I started dreaming of living off that. So at a certain point, I kept knocking on the door, got my press releases. Of course, I was very thankful for that. And then slowly, I was even allowed to take a picture of a watch. And then I had to convince them that to be able to take a wrist shot. Oh, no, this is luxury, was the answer. Yeah, but, I want a photographed watch in its natural habitat. And slowly, mainly first the indies allowed me to take a wrist shot. And then slowly, the big Richemont brands came on board. But that took a little while before they finally approved of that. I think they must have had a very important board meeting before they allowed it. But
Frank, a funny anecdote.
Oh.
You are also very masculine like me, a lot of hair.
Oh, yeah.
There's still brands today, I won't mention names, who have in their guidelines that we're not allowed to post pictures of hairy wrists. So I say, it's your decision. If you don't want me to post your brands on my social, it's up to you. But imagine, we still get that dictated today in 2021.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
But
sorry for the internet.
No worries. I'll keep that in mind. Maybe we can do a furry wrist shot every Friday furry wrist shot. Something like that. Holy smokes. Yeah. Anyways. But as I said, I was dreaming of doing what people with a print magazine were doing, but then online, and to be able to live off it. So I worked my ass off, 40 hours in the evenings, weekends, etc., for myself, and 40 hours for the ministry where I was still working. It was a tough time, but also a fun time. And luckily, my employer allowed me to be quite flexible with my working days, so I could use my holidays in a very pleasant way. So I could attend SJSS and I could attend Basel World and the Yacht Press trip. And at a certain point, 2012, it became almost the time. 2013, I finally pulled the plug and started doing it full time. And my idea was I would be on the couch in my jogging pants with a laptop on to write my stories. How wrong could I have been? Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, writing stories was something that I wasn't even able to do at that time. Nowadays, I don't even have the time to sit down and to really take the time to write a proper story. Unfortunately, because that's the one thing that I'm really missing. By the way, I'm looking for a PA to help me manage my inbox and my calendar and my trips and etc.
Where should they apply?
Somewhere at Monochrome. I don't know. Send a message, please.
Okay.
Ideally from the Utrecht area.
Yeah.
So if anyone is listening, please do apply. I need a PA. And that will allow me to, to go back to writing stories about beautiful watches, which is something that I enjoyed so much, to share my passion for those beautiful timepieces. So it was a long, strange trip, and still is kind of a long, strange trip to run an online watch magazine. It's not like in the old days. Thanks, Alon. It's a long, weird trip, and even if you have a website that's performing quite well, then there's Instagram, there's YouTube. We are doing videos. The story never ends, and it keeps being fun and new challenges. It's very dynamic.
I can imagine.
But that's the same for you, I guess. I mean, you're organizing this Zoom. You're also super passionate. I know that. So
Yeah,
you
but
must also
people don't
always
expect
adapt.
that from us. So there's a huge convergence going on.
Yeah.
We're old school retail. We became e-com, omni-channel, and now every company needs to become a media company.
Yeah,
So
more or less.
media, we're creating content, and it's obviously hilarious that I'm interviewing the interviewer.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like the student is
interesting.
becoming the master. So there's a conversion. You guys are producing watches, so it's beautiful because, as you said, it's all about sharing the passion for watchmaking. Um, and we're entering new territories, uncharted territories, which is super interesting. But for you guys, a lot of people think now that when they have a few pictures and an Instagram account, they're bloggers, and you have literally on your payroll very experienced journalists. And I imagine your day is filled with bombarded email boxes, press releases, requests for press trips, interviews, right? Creating
Yes.
content. Um, you guys don't do print yet, right?
No.
Is that something you're thinking of?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, no. It's a very lame, short answer, but
No, it's super
to
clear.
me, distribution online is like that.
Yeah.
Distribution of print, it can be, it can deliver something nice, but to me, I don't see any need to cut a tree in order to send our message. Take a tablet, take an iPhone, and you
Interesting.
can read it. It's for free.
So it seems that you have a clear-cut strategy. What is Monochrome's USP? So what makes you different, your publications, than everything that's out there?
We are very good in high quality reviews of mechanical watches. We're very selective. We never write about anything with a battery inside. So we have a very strong focus on high end mechanical watches, and we love to explain how those movements work, how those complications work, why those complications were invented in the first time, and what are, for instance, the different ways of handling a specific complication, or what are the newest innovations. We are very technically focused. We do lots of explanations. We interview mainly people from brands who can explain why they came up. For instance, with a new escapement, when Frédéric Constant came with their monolithic oscillator.
Yeah.
They asked us to explain it, and not just to our readers, but also to their followers, and also to the staff of their boutiques around the world.
Interesting.
So we did all the internal briefings and the full explanations on how can you explain how this monolithic oscillator works when you don't even properly know how a standard mechanical movement works.
Yeah.
So we had to start from the basis and explain the basis first, even better than most people. There's something with an escapement, and usually that's where they stop. This is our territory. This is where we're good at. So our USP is mainly focused on giving very thorough explanations of the mechanics of a movement, and to celebrate that beauty.
Interesting, lovely. We're chatting away, and I see we are creeping to 11 more minutes. We have a lot of comments. Should we dive in?
I don't see the comments, so
no. I see them
guide me through.
I see them backstage in our studio. So we have on Facebook Gerard saying hi. Welcome, Gerard. Thank you for watching. One of our most avid viewers is Rocky. He is both part of the Red Bar Crew Amsterdam, but he also has his Watch 4 crew. He writes, what watch-related book or books can you recommend about indies? Indies are the independent watchmakers on YouTube, he asks. The Hands of Time. Is that by our friend Elizabeth Dorr?
This was, I think Ian Skellern wrote this one.
Yeah.
Or was it Elizabeth?
Maybe together they wrote it.
That written by Ian Skellern and conceived by Pieter Speak.
Okay. Speak Marin?
That's a good one. Another one, if you can get hold of it. Voetilijnen.
Yeah. Lovely.
Super interesting. Well, there's many more, but I think it's a good start on indies.
Good. He writes hi there, by the way. Hi, Rocky. Thank you so much. Um, we have Maria sending us a kiss. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your award. This
Awesome,
weekend they won a GHPH
very cool.
Academy Award. So it's the Academy Awards of the watch industry. Well deserved. Christian van der Klauw. Thank you for watching. We're super happy you guys won. One of my favorite indies ever since I'm a kid. I had the honor to meet Sir van der Klauw on many occasions. Living legend. And today, Maria and her husband own and run the company, and they make amazing pieces. The planetarium is one of my favorites.
Very beautiful.
So thank you for watching. There's a full-blown chat going on. Rocky writes to Maria, "Oh hi," and then he asks you, Frank, what do you think of our astronomical Dutch pride, Indy? CVDK stands for Christian van der Klauw.
Yeah, I love it, honestly. Early this year, I bought my first Van der Klauw, which was an Eclipse. And honestly, I couldn't have been more happy with the watch. At this point, a friend of mine borrowed me his planetarium, an old one, by the way. So I'm doing a photo shoot for that to be published on Monochrome in the coming weeks somewhere. Really love the legacy of Christian van der Klauw and love their watches, their complications. To me, that's as poetic as it should get. It's lovely.
Well put. It is indeed poetic. I'm on your Instagram handle to quickly find the eclipse, but no luck now. Thank you, Rocky, for your everlasting passion and questions. We had some questions on Instagram from viewers that couldn't join live. One of them is WT, who's anonymous now, asks you, Frank, what's your favorite brand and why is that?
Do I really have to give one favorite brand? That's impossible.
You just run down the brands or models that you love and why.
Well, I love many of the indies. I think that's no secret. Already discussed it quite a bit. But there's also many of the big brands that I really like. My first very expensive watch that was more than €1,000, Attack Monaco. Love it. Still, to this day, 20 years in my possession, still love it. I have a big affection for Porsche design. Love it. Their watches are so different, so unique. Dive watches, Doxa, love it. Very strange one, maybe. Carl F. Bucherer.
Yeah.
Love it. So there's so many. My Seamaster Bond, I own quite a few iterations of it. So there's too many brands that I really like. Can't give a more simple answer. I'm sorry for that, WT. But
thank you.
It is what it is.
Amazing. Another question on Instagram. Why do you love independent watch brands so much? Asks JDV.
Okay. When I started, well, we just already discussed how welcoming, not the big brands were for anything I was doing at the time. The indies were very open and very welcoming. But the good thing is actually that I got a very good look at what they were doing and how they were doing it. Big brands, they had a PR manager and a boss, a communications chief, and someone handling displays, etc. And there was a marketing manager, and they all had something to say about what I was doing. On the other hand, the indies, there was usually a watchmaker and maybe a second watchmaker. They didn't have a PR lady, they didn't have a marketing manager, they didn't have all of that. They had to run the show themselves. So it boiled down to the product, the very product, nothing more than just the product.
Mm-hmm.
Without the big marketing language around, it was the product that they made because they loved it. And that was a passion and an internal convincement that these guys had that I really loved, and I felt they could use the extra attention. So I loved their passion, their qualities of creating watches. There's Stephen Forsey on the website,
Mm-hmm.
such a good guy. But it was the small shows without the budgets like the major companies had that still wanted to get a bit of an impact in the watch industry and to be seen. And I wanted to help them. That was the early days of Monochrome.
Yeah, lovely. Because what I'm showing right now while you're talking is you guys actually have a section on your website, Independent Watchmaking.
Of course.
And this shows how future forward you are, because this is 2018, and you guys were already in deep with Dufour, where he's now the rock star of independent watchmaking. But I learn even about micro brands on Monochrome blog. So thank you for that. I think we should slowly end things. Maybe one more last one. We have Pieter who sent in a question. What's the next major step for Monochrome? Interesting one.
The next major step for Monochrome is probably to keep doing what we're doing. Now, well, we will definitely increase and improve our videos and add more collectors to creating content.
Mm-hmm.
So we're now doing the collector series where collectors are talking about one specific watch,
Mm-hmm.
why they bought it, why this brand, why that watch, etc. So to give the full explanation why they spent often a large sum of money on this or that watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that we definitely will increase. We will do much more of those, and we will do more focus.
Is this right, Frank?
Yeah, it's that indeed.
Yeah. Okay,
There's
lovely.
Amazing watches being discussed. It's so awesome. I really love it.
Awesome. Cool.
And we're going to add pre-owned watches to this, especially anything post-quartz crisis. We're not very keen on vintage. We're not super knowledgeable about it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we might discuss a little bit of vintage, but we rather focus on the cool watches from the 1990s, like the Deep One, the IWC 3711. The very first Seamaster Professional that was on James Bond's wrist. These kind of watches. That is what we want to focus on, and also the second-hand markets combined with those watches, because that's a very interesting market these days.
Interesting. Thank you so much. I think we should slowly gear to an end. Next episode is in 2 weeks with your and my friend Andrew McUtchin.
Yes.
Of Time and Tide Watches from Down Under. Frank, I really had a fun time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I always love talking to you. I hope our viewers did as well. If you have any feedback for Frank or the Monochrome team, hit them up on socials or send them an email. And if you know a PA, think of Frank. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Frank. Thank you, Alon.
Take care, buddy.
Super good. Thank you. Bye-bye.